Spot XRP ETFs are just days away. The CEO of Canary Capital sits down with Paul Barron to tell Paul where he thinks this is about to go. The reason this is important is we've never had spot products for XRP out in the financial markets. So when you have this $60 trillion in the stock market, being able to invest into XRP spot products, that could be a game changer. I think retail has really moved XRP as high as far as it can go at this current time. Bringing that institutional money in could mean the difference between today's prices and, of course, where we want to get to in the future, right? Let's play the clip. I'm also going to give you a ton of details about Solana spot ETFs, Bitcoin, Ethereum, what could happen if this value started to come into XRP, as well as I have a ton of other related XRP news that we need to get into. It is looking good, and it's not just a change in the weather, guys. Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of these things are coming up. I hope you guys are going to have a great trip, a great end of the year. Let's just jump right into this information. I'll give you as much context as I need to.
When you look at the flow that we've seen with Solana, the BSOL, Bitwise did a great job getting that one out on the ground, and absolutely crazy numbers. One of the best performing ETFs that we've seen so far, especially in digital assets. How do you think these XRP ETFs will perform against that?
Okay. Yeah, I actually think that XRP will probably double what Solana did in its first week and even today, as far as volume and as far as total AUM. If you just even look at the market caps of the two tokens, XRP is about 50% higher than Solana. Yeah. But the difference is, and we experienced this with HBAR last week or 2 weeks ago now, the HBAR ETF experienced $70 million in inflows just in the first 3 days. And it's because it's really well known among institutional circuit price investors. Yeah. So even though it's not a big retail product, it doesn't have a ton of volume, it's got the right kind of interest. And that's how XRP is. Solana is probably a little bit more of a retail token. XRP is much more of a financial services, enterprise, institutional token. And when you put that into an ETF, even though it's only 50% more market cap, it'll probably be 100% or 200% more inflows because of the institutional.
XRP is an enterprise institutional token, right? It's not just any other utility token out here trying to gain market share. It is a part of the new financial infrastructure by some of the largest financial institutions on the planet. That is what XRP is turning into. And so here's some, because I really wanted to understand what's going on with Solana, how much money went into this, because that got me thinking. And so here is that data so you know too. The cumulative net flows since launch October 28, 2025 is 342 million. The first week saw approached 200 million. And then within the first few days, 70 million. In recent days, we've seen a steady slowing momentum with the lowest daily inflow of about 6.7 million. So there's a lot of early interest, and then this has slowed down a bit, but I just wanted to take a look at what's going on with Solana. Eleanor Tarrant does say here, New Canary Funds have filed its Form 8-A. This is the final step before it goes effective at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Wednesday, once the NASDAQ certifies the listing. When that happens, the last hurdle is cleared, and the first XRP spot ETF will launch on Thursday at market open. Yes! We've waited so long. We waited so long. I don't know how many videos and things I've researched in hours and days of my life have been put into this, and we're finally here. Man, I don't know what to say. We're here. All right, and then Chad also pointed this out. Canary XRP spot ETF launches Thursday, November 13th. So, ladies and gentlemen, get the champagne ready. Make sure it is on ice. We have made it. And then here are the 11 XRP ETF products that now appear on the DTCC website. Is $5 next? Is $10 next? Is the Jake Claver $750 next? I don't know, guys. You tell me down below, where do you think this is heading? I just think this is great news regardless where the price is going. I'm looking forward to just seeing all of this and reporting the information to you guys. Make sure that you are following the channel, because I'll bring you the latest and best XRP news all across the world every single day on this channel. Okay, let's take a look here, because I wanted to say, I wanted to find out a little bit more about spot ETFs. What is it going to do for XRP holders, et cetera, et cetera. So spot XRP ETFs, once launched, will fundamentally transform how both retail and institutional investors can access and utilize XRP, delivering tangible benefits and potentially driving substantial impacts on price and liquidity inflows, echoing Bitcoin and Ethereum spot products. What spot XRP ETFs will do for holders: enable direct exposure via brokerage accounts without handling wallets, cold storage, or private keys, lowering the barriers for mainstream and retirement investment vehicles. So right now, people don't want to go on a Coinbase or create wallets and transfer crypto and have to worry about their private keys. That is just so much risk for someone that has never got into the crypto market. As you start to learn, as you jump into the market, you know how complicated things can get and how you have to worry about this and your private, your wallets and your passwords. And there's just so much. When you maybe are a little bit older and you have a full-time job and kids and hobbies and friends, and you don't have to maybe time for all of these different things, and you want to be able to just use your stock portfolio to get access to some of these assets. And that is really what it's going to unlock. It's going to really improve the efficiency and liquidity around XRP. Improve regulatory clarity and confidence, likely classifying XRP as a commodity and boosting institutional allocation, pension funds, asset managers, etc. Boost market depth and liquidity by requiring actual purchase of XRPs to back every ETF share. So if you're not familiar with how this works, you're not getting direct access to XRP. Like, you're not going to own the token, you're going to own a share. And that share is going to represent maybe 5 XRP or 10 XRP or whatever the number is that they have set up. And as XRP increases in price, the share price will increase as well. And this will allow people to get access. But the main part here is all of these different ETFs are going to require more and more XRP to back up the fund. And so if these go into the hundreds of millions and then billions and then tens of billions, you're going to keep needing more and more XRP to fund those products. And that is what gets really exciting here. Could increase price stability by expanding trading volume and facilitating reliable two-way price action. Increase supply lockup. Each ETF must hold genuine XRP effectively, removing it from circulating supply, lowering counterparty risk, enabling easier diversification, provide clearer tax reporting and easier compliance, and potentially drive global adoption by setting a regulatory precedent in the US and encouraging ETFs launches internationally. So this also puts pressure on other countries and markets to launch their own XRP products, because if people in those countries want access to these products, they're going to find ways to get access to them. And so this could only be a good thing for XRP, in my personal opinion. You let me know down below what you think. Now, I wanted to take a look here and get some additional information on like how much money has gone into both Ethereum and Bitcoin, because that's kind of where we're going to be looking. That's who we're going to be targeting here, right? And so since the US launch in January 2024, a spot Bitcoin ETFs have accumulated net inflows exceeding 9 billion, with estimates ranging from 13 to 14 billion by late 2025. Now, realistically, total net assets, including price appreciation for Bitcoin ETFs, have sometimes reached $139 billion. In just the first 3 days after launch, these ETFs gathered 1.9 billion in inflows. So things can get pretty interesting here. During record weeks, single week inflows for spot ETF, Bitcoin ETFs topped 3.2 billion. And of course, spot Ethereum ETFs launched later than Bitcoin have attracted roughly 9.6 billion in cumulative net inflows as of late 2025. And it does say here, total ETF assets under management of about $21 billion. So as you can see, this is a huge amount of money, guys. And we're waiting for all this to come on. And then here is Sal Galberti from Tucrim talking about why he is so bullish about XRP.
Ripple's a company of really professional people working really hard on this. That's why we chose XRP. We believe in XRP. We're not making a price prediction, but we do believe it's a coin that will have the most utility out there. You know, Bitcoin is a store of value. I agree with Mike McGlone, but I think that XRP has a true use case. There's just no doubt about it. And the Ripple team, from the interaction we've had with them, they're really professional. They act like investment bankers over there. They know what they're doing, and they will make this work.
Man, so many really great things that he said there. And just remember, when these people that are responsible for launching these security products, they can't really go around and quote prices, right? And because I've seen some people say, why don't they just tell us where the price is going to go? They are not allowed to do that by law. So just understand that when you listen to, Steven and you listen to Sal here, they need to be very careful about what they say, because once you get into these ETF realm, that's a security under the SEC, and there's more stricter guidelines around that. Just wanted to give you that heads up. Now, there was a great interview here, CEO of Evernorth, Ashish Burler, talking about XRP specifically. I wanted to add some of this value to this video because I think it's worth listening to, because there's this ETF side of things and then there's the treasury side of things. Both of these are going to require more and more XRP. So let's learn a little bit more about this.
Evernorth, to give an overview of this company, what's the mission and why XRP was chosen as the digital asset?
The mission is really to make it easier for folks to buy, hold, and get exposure to XRP. It's for us, Tony. We've been in this space a long time. We know how to manage wallets. We know how to manage cryptocurrencies. But for the large part of the world, that it's too difficult. For big institutions that want exposure to this asset class in XRP, that's too complicated. So the idea behind Evernorth is let's make it as easy as buying Tesla stock in your brokerage account, your E-Trade account, your Fidelity account, your Robinhood account. Just like you buy that stock, you can buy XRPN, the ticker for Evernorth, and you get exposure to XRP as an asset class. And we don't stop there. You also get to participate in the strategies that we'll develop at Evernorth, like yield strategies. And with those yield strategies, the yield portion of that yield that we generate will go back into the treasury. We'll use that yield to buy more XRP and add to the treasury. And the goal here for Evernorth shareholders is to maximize XRP per share. And why did I choose XRP? I'll answer that question. Well, one, I really believe in this future that the financial world is going to be reformed. And there's going to be a revolution. And that revolution is going to start on a blockchain. And it's spurred by that innovation around the blockchain. Mm-hmm. And early on, the XRP creators decided that they wanted to build a blockchain that was optimized for financial use cases. This was back in 2012. Maybe that's mainstream now, but this is back in 2012 to create an ecosystem, to create a technology that's optimized for payments, that's optimized for tokenized assets. Today, we call those real world assets, or RWAs. But the ability to have these equities, real estate, and so forth, tokenized and available for the world on a blockchain, that's what the XRP ledger and supporting technologies are good for. So, I decided XRP, obviously, with my, history, that made a lot of sense. But I also noticed, Tony, that there's no digital asset treasury significance around
True.
XRP. And that made it a no-brainer. Let's go.
Just really quickly, so you understand, these digital asset treasuries, they can be a good thing, and they, some of them are going to fail. Just like ETF products, there's going to be hundreds of different ETFs. Some of them are going to be extremely popular and adopted, and some of them are going to fall flat. So with digital asset treasuries in the Bitcoin and Ethereum space, we've seen some do really well, and we've also seen some crash and burn. We don't yet know how Evernorth is going to perform, but being the largest and biggest in the XRP space, backed by people at Ripple and people who build on the XRP ledger, I would imagine that if there's any digital asset treasury to be a part of, that this one would probably be the most successful. That is just my personal feeling. Obviously, it's not backed up by any kind of financial advice, but this is something that I am looking forward to seeing how it performs in the market. And I am looking to see what other financial institutions decide to compete against Evernorth, right? Because if you can get more competition, that's more XRP needed to support the treasuries. That's higher prices, less XRP on the available market. And you start mixing the ETFs, the digital asset treasuries, and you start doing the EVM sidechain stuff with all the development happening. You start locking up XRP on Flare and Midnight and any other kind of DeFi layers. We're not going to have enough XRP. That is plain and simple. So this is a simple supply and demand, type of thing. If there's less supply on the available market and the demand is there, the price is going to follow. All right, let's finish this up.
Go do it.
For sure. So would it be safe to say you're looking to become the MicroStrategy of XRP, MicroStrategy specifically focused on Bitcoin?
I'm excited about building on the XRP ecosystem. I think the world should know about what's going on in terms of financialization on a blockchain. And I think the world's going to look very different in 10 years than it is for now in the financial world.
All right, guys, make sure you catch that full interview from Thinking Crypto if you want to watch it. I just wanted to give you a little bit of taste and excitement for those first 2 minutes. Thank you for joining me every single day for XRP news. It's an honor to spend this time with you. If you got any value, you can like the video, share the video, make sure that you're subscribed. I'll see you next time. I'm Crypto Sensei. Aloha.